Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Fair use as it's a parody. If you don't have a sense of humor, go. Welcome. Is this my reality? Is this your reality?
Bridge, transporter operational, but this jury rigging won't last for long. He's got to come off now. I'll stand by here.
1,500 miles in closing.
Captain, transporter operational, but just barely.
Prepare to beam me aboard on my signal.
Welcome to Not My Reality. Created by Army Air Corps veteran Gene Roddenberry, who was a friend of L. Ron Hubbard and Jack Parsons in 1966, the beloved science fiction and space adventure franchise Star Trek has spawned several TV series, many movies, and even video games that follows the adventures of the starship USS Enterprise and its crew. The show is set in the years 2266 to 2269. The ship and crew are led by Captain James T. Kirk, played by probably the greatest thespian the world has ever known, William Shatner. First Officer and Science Officer Mr. Spock, played by Leonard Nimoy. Spock! And the Chief Medical Officer, Leonard Bones McCoy, played by DeForest Kelley. Before we go any further, we just want to give full disclosure on this channel. We didn't like Star Trek, the original series. We loved it. Star Trek, the original series, it wasn't about some galaxy far, far away. It was about us, about human beings, hundreds of years in the future. What would our future look like? What is possible for the human race? Kirk, Spock, McCoy, the friendship they had, the bond of exploring strange new worlds together, the mixture of the crew with Scotty, Uhura, Sulu, and Chekhov, all seeking out new life, new civilizations. In the greatest hero prototype ever, James T. Kirk, Bill friggin' Shatner, boldly going where no man has gone before. Alright, let's continue. Question is, did Star Trek predict the future? Did fans of this show go on to invent and create some of the things they might have seen on this show? Remember, Star Trek aired on NBC from September 8th, 1966 to June 3rd, 1969. Here's some inventions and things that we think were predicted by Star Trek, the original series. Let's take a look. In no particular order, we have automatic doors, like the ones on the bridge from the turbo lift. The first sliding doors in public and commercial spaces, it may have been invented in the 60s, but there was always a long delay, and people, quite frankly, would get caught in between the doors. Now, current models, with their fast motion sensors and advanced 3D scanners, are very much like the automatic doors that were used as early as the USS Enterprise starship and the original series. I just think all the doors, especially the grocery store, should definitely make that swooshing sound.
I'm on my way to the bridge now.
Miles in closing.
Transporter, stand by.
Steady, boys.
Pretty much everyone has one now, but flat screens. Flat screen television sets were only introduced to private homes in the late 1990s. Sleek screens in full color were presented as early as the original series in Star Trek, mainly on the bridge, engineering, and some conference rooms. And all the while, people that watched the show, the audiences, watched it on their chunky, bulky black and white television sets. At the time the series was on the air and in early syndication, TVs were so big, they were giant wooden monuments. It was a TV, it was a stereo, it was a bookshelf with an open bar and putting green on top for Dad. They were so big, if your TV broke, you just bought another TV and sat it on top because there was no way to move that TV. The Replicators. Now these I'm not too sure about myself, but these are handy machines that create and recycle materials. In the original series, the Replicator was typically used to generate food on demand. Now, although we cannot snap our fingers and ask a machine to make a meal for us immediately, the technology, unfortunately, is up and coming, such as in 2013 when the first lab-grown burger was eaten. Disgusting. Maybe in the future, we'll be able to solve world hunger. Anyway, plus, have a think of what can now be achieved with 3D printers. We can make instruments, jewelry, weapons, of course weapons, and so much more. We're not so far away from this. I always remember thinking when I saw that food in the future must suck. Support the channel, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell. If you don't, you might just be forced to watch Star Trek Discovery. Bluetooth headphones. The earpiece, often worn by Communications Officer Lieutenant Uhura and Mr. Spock, bears a striking similarity to today's Bluetooth headsets and serves a similar function. In the show, it appeared to be a hands-free device, but when receiving communication from Starfleet Command, Uhura would often hold her hand against it. This is an apparently unnecessary gesture that has also been adopted by many Bluetooth headset wearers. Yeah, why do we do that? Like, we're being hailed by the Klingons? It's just Jeff asking about our car warranty. Hello, this is Jeff. Video calling. Ooh, the problems this one's caused. While it may be commonplace in our time and age to video chat with people over FaceTime, WhatsApp, or Skype, and other sites like that, but audiences back then were dazzled by Star Trek. Captains ordering an on-screen call on the bridge, especially when the other person was on a different planet or on a starship light years away. I wonder who was the first one to say, "I gotta get dressed to answer the phone."
Captain's Log Supplemental.
We also have tablets. In the original series, Captain Kirk would occasionally be approached by a yeoman with a tablet and a stylus. This was presumably to sign off on the captain's log that he had narrated at the beginning of each episode. We never got to see much of these devices, and to be honest, their inclusion seemed to have been an excuse to show a young woman in a miniskirt with very nice legs. Hundreds of years in the future, and they're still trying to push this stylus? Enough already with the stylus. Forget about the stylus. This is one of my favorites, the flip phone. Flip phones were all the rage in the late 1990s and early 2000s. In the original series, though, Kirk and his crew carried a similar device. It was called the communicator. You flipped it open, and it also served as a signaling beacon. It was designed by Ma Wing Chang, who is also responsible for the phaser and the tricorder, among many other props. Look, let me be honest. I don't know if you did this, but back when I had a flip phone, I would definitely take a look around and then flip it open like I was Captain Kirk. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. In a little Star Trek fact, Kirk never said, "Beam me up, Scotty." Never said it. Did Trek predict the future of medicine? We have the med wand, the MRI, the CT scanners. As early as the original series, Dr. Leonard H. McCoy, also known as Bones, was using his medical tricorder to detect, diagnose, and treat basic injuries and medical conditions in the field. His sickbay, though, was equipped with much bigger machines that could show on a big screen what was going on inside of the patient's body. Now, in real life, MRIs weren't widely used until 1977. As for the first CT scanners, They were first installed at the hospitals in 1974. On another note, there are smaller devices today, like the MedWand, that can perform many of the medical tricorder's tasks, such as reading vital signs and body temperature, and providing a preliminary diagnosis. So, are they actually going to cure diseases in the future, though? It's just a thought. This one's a fan favorite. Phasers, hand phasers, set phasers to stun. Another often heard command given to the Enterprise crew. The crew often relied on the stun setting of their weapon of choice, known as the phaser. Armed with a phaser, Kirk and his crew had the ability to kill, or more desirably, stun their adversaries and render them incapacitated. Now, something along the lines of the phaser may be in development. Applied Energetic has developed laser-guided energy and laser-induced plasma energy technologies that are said to transmit high-voltage bursts of energy to a target. In other words, these pulses of energy would stun the target, limit collateral damage. So a true phaser may soon be a reality. Between me and you, there's a few people I like to stun with a phaser. Huh, would I like that? Last but definitely not least, the tricorder. How many of you remember that instrument Mr. Spock always used to carry over his shoulder, especially when the crew, usually consisting of only Spock and Captain Kirk, first surveyed a new planet? That was a tricorder. Why would you send the captain and the first officer down the first time on a planet? But I digress. One of the most useful instruments available to the Star Trek crew, the variations of the tricorder, the medical, engineering, or scientific, were used to measure everything from oxygen levels to detecting diseases. Oftentimes, the tricorder gave an initial analysis of the new environment. So what's the real-world tie-in? Well, NASA employs a handheld device called LOCAD, which measures for unwanted microorganisms such as E. coli, fungi, and salmonella on board the International Space Station. Beyond that, two handheld medical devices may soon help doctors examine blood flow and check for cancer, diabetes, or bacterial infection. Scientists at Loughborough University in England use Star Trek-type technology in a handheld device that can monitor the functions of the heart. Meanwhile, researchers at Harvard Medical School have developed a small device that utilizes similar technology found in an MRI machine that non-invasively inspects the body. Using nuclear magnetic resonance imaging, this device will be sensitive enough to measure samples as few as 10 possible infectious bacteria. This kind of sensitivity, 800 times more sensitive than the sensing equipment currently used in the medical labs, could revolutionize the way doctors diagnose disease. Damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
Whether you love Star Trek or you hate it, who would have thought a science fiction television show could have predicted so many items we now utilize in our day-to-day lives? Yeah, who could have predicted a program would predict the future? Anyway, but that's the new reality we live in. It's one big movie. Star Trek is 60 years old now, and has seemingly predicted much of the technology we use today. What's next? Warp speed? Photon torpedoes? The transporter? Like Dr. McCoy said, you're not taking my molecules and mixing them up all over the damn universe. Just saying. Thank you, Star Trek, for 60 years. Let's hope we get another 60 before they blow this place up. Now let's get the fuck out of here. Live long and prosper. Peace.
Beam me aboard.
Energize.
Energizing. Bridge, it's shorted out again.
Gentlemen, beam me aboard.
We can't, Captain. Transporter is out again. Mr. Scott, 20 seconds to detonation.
13,
Gentlemen, I suggest you beam me aboard.
10,
Mr. Scott?
6.
Try her now, Mr. Kyle.
Bridge! We got him through!